couldn't believe that Al Pacino was smacking bitches.
Yeah.
He was smacking women left and right. He was offensive. I just couldn't believe, again, this is a PG movie.
It was 1990. We weren't so sensitive back then.
Did nobody have a brain in 1990? This week on Trees in Space, Jason and I watched the 1990 rated PG crime drama action movie Dick Tracy. What'd you think?
I think I want to thank everyone for watching us right now.
Yes.
Do a like and a subscribe, please. Please feed the algorithm monster because he's hungry. And it says this is a action drama.
There's a lot of drama in this movie.
There is more than it needs to be, but I'll tell you two things. And we talked about it before. And I know we're going to do a deep dive into this after we do the whole information thing. One, Batman, Dick Tracy, one the same. Two, there was a lot more, because I watched this movie when it came out in theaters because I was a projectionist at the time when I watched it. There's a lot more famous people in this movie than I remembered. Oh my God, there were so many. In the makeup, you couldn't tell who was who, but, well, I mean, Dustin Hoffman, you could, but it was just...
a little about this movie. Hard-boiled detective Dick Tracy, played by Warren Beatty, is searching for evidence that proves Alphonse Big Boy Caprice is the city's most dangerous crime boss. He may have found the key to unraveling the crime lord's illegal empire in Breathless Mahoney, played by Madonna, an enigmatic
There you go.
ballroom singer who has witnessed some of Caprice's crimes firsthand. However, she seems more set on stealing Dick away from his girlfriend, Tess Deland Headley, than helping him solve the case of his career. Now, this movie was directed by Warren Beatty, and it was written by Jim Cash and Jack Epps Jr.
Well, I think this is a prime example of why sometimes the actor of a movie should not be directing the movie, because he was very wooden in his acting portrayal of Dick Tracy. Maybe that's what Dick Tracy is. But no one else was. Everyone else was an extreme of a certain personality type. I would say. I mean, Mahomes. Breathless Mahoney's, Breathless Boobies, whatever it was.
Breathless, yes.
Oh, yes, her name is Breathless, by Madonna, who you said you forgot how an attractive person she was.
God. She, in this movie, is stunning. Oh my God.
If you like gorgeous blondes with great bodies, then yes, she's stunning.
I mean, her makeup was flawless. The gap in her teeth wasn't that bad at that time. Like, she was beautiful. You could see full areola and nipple at one point in one of those dresses, and it leads me to wonder how in the hell this is a PG movie.
Yeah, so it's a good thing she's attractive because she can't act worth shit.
No, it's awful. She shouldn't have had a line.
I will tell you that my favorite two people in this movie, I thought Al Pacino was excellent as Big Boy. I think he was crazy. Oh, yeah. What?
Oh yeah, I agree. And
I love Tess.
I couldn't believe that Al Pacino was smacking bitches.
Yeah.
He was smacking women left and right. He was offensive. I couldn't believe, again, this is a PG movie.
It was 1990. We weren't so sensitive back then.
Did nobody have a brain in 1990?
It was made a movie from the 30s, and the treatment of women in the 30s, so it was trying to be at least comic book accurate of slapping women and stuff.
It was a very accurate portrayal of what I would assume a mobster would have treated a
especially in
woman.
the 30s, the way we see it,
Yes.
especially the comic book, because this was definitely a comic book centric movie because of the fact that the loud or the painted backgrounds, the all the solid colors of everything. There's like a green car, a red car, a yellow car, a blue, and they're all one
Those
solid color.
colors were so bright.
Yes,
And
the every what do you call it? Suit everyone's wearing one solid color, and they were
bright, like
yes.
Skittle bright.
Taste the rainbow, mother.
It was perfect. I thought that the scenes were beautiful. Acting was a little shaky
I
on
mean,
some of the characters.
I didn't like the little boy.
I thought he was fine. Like
He
he
was
was a little
fine.
prick, but then I had to think about it like he was a 1930s kid.
Yeah, yeah, and he had no kids or whatever. No, that was when he went to, I guess, his dad to get him the watch or whatever, and he goes, he hits the boy, and then Dick Tracy comes in, try that with someone your own size, and they start punching them, Shaq shaking back
Oh
and
my
forth.
god, yeah, back and
I
forth.
was like, that's great. Okay, that was, I like that. I just started smiling because that was wonderful. I mean, oh, it was. There were plenty of parts that would made me smile and chuckle because it was true to a comic strip
Mhm.
detective Dick Tracy.
Right. And I also loved how it technology evolved from Hollywood. Like the wristwatch that was the two-way radio, or like instead of
Mm-hmm.
the collar thing or a radio, it was in a wristwatch.
Right.
And like literal shit that happens now. Uh, but one thing I definitely wanted to hit on is we. I'm glad you brought up Batman and Dick Tracy, and we talked briefly on the phone about this, but Batman 89, right? So that movie came out in June 23rd, 1989. Dick Tracy came out 1 year later, June 15th, 1990.
Hold that thought because
Yes.
we had this discussion earlier on the phone. So I took some research and found out they greenlit this movie in the early '80s. This movie was greenlit, yes, and started to be written on 10 years before it was released. Obviously, there's a lot of dead time between that, but and I don't know when Batman '89 was greenlit, so I didn't check that out. But
Well, so did you notice? I noticed right away. I was like, okay, Danny Elfman composed this movie, and because he has a very signature sound, and I was like, well, it sounds like Batman.
it does.
And well, funny enough, I did a little research, and Warren Beatty hired Danny Elfman to compose the film score for Dick Tracy based on the previous composer's success with Tim Burton's Batman.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know
So,
that part, but
yeah,
I
he
knew he did Batman.
purposely hired the guy that wrote the Batman shit to do his movie, probably hoping like, oh, if I get the guy to write the same thing, and essentially it's the same freaking thing. They just changed the key or something. The I know we've talked about this on a, I don't know what show, probably Talking Stuff, but Dick Tracy and Batman are the same character.
Yes.
Essentially, the only difference is Dick Tracy is a detective for the police department, and in this movie, they're like, "Oh, you should be police chief." He's like, "I don't want a desk job." Every cop goes to him anyway. He
Yes.
is the chief of police.
If you question this, I'm talking to you people at home. If you like, no, they're not, and like Nate just said, both great detectives fighting crime at night, whatever. Watch this movie and watch when Dick Tracy goes from rooftop to rooftop with his yellow cape and coming down the stairs or jumping onto the poles or whatever. You could see Batman. It's freaking Batman all the way.
Yeah.
There's-
Even the Rose Gallery, the villains in
Mhm.
Dick Tracy, all of Batman is an homage to Dick Tracy.
You know, now that you said that, it's a very good point because the movie The Batman, which I loved,
Mhm.
When the character of the Penguin, he is definitely a gangster person from Dick Tracy world.
Yes, and that's what
It's
the Penguin was. He's a
yes,
mobster.
he is a mobster,
I mean,
and I think it's
the
like the
Joker
Flathead,
again.
a
Joker
mobster.
mobster.
hmm They're all mobsters. I think Riddler, they all got their names, and I wonder if because we didn't research this and we should have, and now we're just like not even reviewing this movie. Now we're just doing the whole
Rabbit hole.
yeah. Um, if Finger is that the guy who did Batman?
Bill
Uh,
Finger
Bill
and
Finger,
Bill Finger and Bob Kane.
Bob Kane. Um, I wonder if they got inspiration from the Dick Tracy strip because you almost think they would have. They almost have to have.
I
Yeah,
know we've looked it up in the past that Batman came out in the 40s.
I want to say 40s. Yeah, but Batman wasn't a comic strip; it became a comic book. But the strip was out first. We know this. Um, but as far as the movie goes, I think the acting was
Yeah,
so
1939.
except for I think Al Pacino who played the bad guy, he mugs it up for he just goes balls to the wall. Tess, who's the girlfriend, always dressed in red.
Mhm.
I thought she was a great character. I think she was a strong
Love her.
character. Great actress. She did a great job. I thought Warren Beatty was just blah, but I don't know why people think he's a great actor. I've never seen him in anything besides this. Oh,
I was gonna
Bonnie and
say,
Clyde.
I don't think I've ever seen him in anything, but I've heard he was great and stuff, and he was fine. Like
Bugsy, he was also in Bugsy.
I thought he was fine in this movie. He didn't steal it. I mean, I guess he stole the scenes when there was an inferior actor playing opposite him.
Well, I want to know because it was just crazy when they had the bug in there. And that's how he knew where all the things were happening. Half the time he showed up with the police force. The other half the time he just showed up with his gun, and they were
Yeah,
just And then when they found out, they're like coffee got spilled in the hole, so the bad guys they're like, it's like
yeah.
it's just like the act in Al Pacino and Dustin Hoffman as Mumbles, which was
Mhm.
great. He slowed down that thing.
Oh
So
yeah, at the very end, he's like, "Yep, big boy did it."
yep. It was just it was funny, but I think a little too long. But excuse me, you say something.
I will agree. This movie was a little bit long. You probably could have shaved 15-ish minutes off of it. Uh, do you think Al Pacino only got this role because of Scarface?
Maybe it's possible, but I mean because Warren Beatty is like the George Clooney now. Back then, I
What's
don't
funny
think.
is the first person I thought of as playing Dick Tracy was George Clooney.
But if George Clooney says I'm making a movie, will you be in it? You're gonna say yes, no matter who you are. And Al
Yeah.
Pacino, who was relatively big at the time, I mean, he still had Godfather 1 and 2. I don't think 3 was out yet. And Scarface, so he was pretty huge. He was like, yeah, yes, you want to do it? I will do it.
Mm.
So, um, but it's probably because he's a good actor. Because Al Pacino's a good actor, and William Forsythe's in this movie, and he did a great job. Because they didn't have to be real. They could be the extreme character, and I think that's maybe why Warren Beatty's wasn't. He was just
Well, I
that.
think that was partly it too. Is Dick Tracy is probably a straight lace character in general, and that's probably why he portrayed it. And
Good point. If he
there
that,
was the this movie is a love story. Out of anything, it's a love story between Dick and Tess
yes, it
the
absolutely
entire
is.
time. And then one of my favorite, Al Pacino is the best part of this movie.
Absolutely.
But when he's talking to Tracy, he goes, "You mind if I call you Dick?" Ha, Dick. Hey, Dick. Like, and he just
That was so
plays
great.
into.
You did that so well. Matter of fact, I'm going to marry that up against the actual video clip of it. That was perfect. Mama call you Nick.
Dick.
Um,
But he was just like the fear fact, like he found genuine childish humor in the fact that this dude's name is a penis.
I know you watched this before, and I don't know if you can remember, because I cannot remember, but did you know the faceless villain before the faceless villain was revealed to be Breathless Mahomes? Did you think it was? I don't remember.
Spoilers for a movie that was made over 30 years ago.
Yeah, spoilers for that movie. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Fist your butt.
Fist your asshole. What? No, I completely forgot.
Yeah.
Completely forgot.
I know
Like when they pulled the mask off, I was like, oh, that's right.
But I don't see what she was trying to do, because she was trying to set up Tracy, and then she gets shot, and then she goes, "Oh,
I was just thinking, and it didn't come to me till just now. Do you think Warren Beatty's director notes to Madonna was, you know how Leia talked to Han in Return of the Jedi with the voice modulator? That's how I want you to talk in this role.
So I'm pretty sure it was just a computer doing that to their voices, not them talking that way. It's the same exact voice. And I was just
I also just realized that we watched 2 movies in a row where there's a character without a face. Well, this movie got a 61% on the Rotten Tomato score meter, and the audience decided that this movie was not quite as good and gave it a 53%.
So basically, one person said it was good and one person said it wasn't. So
I think this could be this might be one of the closest in ratings.
Between Rotten Tomatoes and the audience ratings? Yes. Yeah. I think we had one. Which one we had that the audience and both have them like above 70. I can't remember which one that was.
Pineapple Express?
It was definitely not Pineapple Express.
Whatever. Still one of the best movies I've ever seen. The first 5-star review comes from Jess D. Undoubtedly one of the greatest comic films of all time, a pedigree cast and crew that no Marvel or DC movie has yet to surpass, even to this day.
And when did she say this? Or he said 2023. So
I would argue that she's probably right. Because all of these people were heights of their career when this movie came out.
Well,
they were at their peaks. And all of these Marvel movies and stuff, at what point were any of these people at their peak or height of their career?
So she's saying nothing surpassed it because of the actors in it, not because the movie was great.
Yeah, she said she said she said it was the greatest comic film of all time.
A pedigree cast and crew that pedigree. I don't know. I think the very last the Avengers movies and stuff, they were at the peak of their popularity and money wise, probably because of the Avenger movies. But still, they were still there. Matter of fact, they were pulling big name people in to become the superheroes.
I will just agree with Jess D, because why not?
Because you like to agree with the D. I get it. So,
yeah, who wouldn't?
1 star or less. With cast like this, how could you go wrong? This movie found a way.
Are we still talking about the same movie? The last of the 1-star review. 5-star review. What can I say? I saw this movie when I was a kid and I loved it. Madonna was hot in this movie. Warren Beatty was great.
I think Nate wrote that review, everyone. And Madonna was hot in this movie.
She was very hot in this movie.
She played in a lot of different movies at that point in time, though.
I would say this is probably the most attractive I've ever seen Madonna, and I've seen her naked.
And, I'm gonna let that lie, because that's what I'm gonna do. Okay.
Good statement.
It is okay. The last 1-star review. Nice comic book style, but not much else going for it. And why do people insist on casting Madonna? She is an awful, awful actor. Because she was a big name, she was a huge draw. It'd be like right now, someone casts Taylor Swift in a movie. I mean, she wasn't as big as Taylor Swift. I don't know, kind of debatable, but people, the Swifties would flock to the theater because this movie, according to what I saw, what I read, was the third highest grossing movie of that weekend for the whole year. Like that weekend, its box office take for the whole year, third highest. It didn't beat Batman, but for the year before. But yeah.
Right. Wow, that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just thinking about the whole Madonna part is if the internet existed to the point that it existed now, then do you think Madonna would be more popular than Taylor Swift is now?
I don't know. I'm not sure why Taylor Swift is as popular as she is. I don't know. I mean, they're
She's
different
cute.
type of music.
She's talented.
Well, so is Madonna. At least was.
Madonna
She's
was
still,
hot. Taylor Swift is cute. She's a wholesome, attractive. She's she's beautiful, but she's not.
I think the thing is because Taylor started in country and moved over to where she is, and she plays a type of music that any genre can appreciate, listen to, especially girls. While Madonna really didn't do that kind of stuff. She was more in a one section. But I think, yes, I think she'd be just as popular. But I think Taylor Swift is probably more business savvy because her business decisions are what's making her so rich. And the more rich she gets, the more popular she becomes. And she writes songs about men are shit. They suck. I will date them and fuck them and throw them away. And I will blame them for my life, but I like my life is wonderful. And young women love that message.
Yeah, Madonna was just talking about what it feels like to have sex and
but she also said material girl. I'm a material. If you ain't got money, get the hell out.
Yeah. All right. So here is the WTF, was the first review. Nice. This came from November 13th, 2003.
Where'd you find it?
You just keep scrolling all the way down to the bottom of Rotten Tomatoes. Just keep
Rotten Tomatoes around in 2003?
Apparently, yeah. Right before I graduated high school. I was a senior in high school when this.
I believe that. I just can't believe that it's been around that long.
For 20 years old. It's 21 years old. This can drink. And apparently back in 2003, you would put little clips and everybody was an amateur coder back then. So all it really said is a quick note about Dick Tracy. I maintain, and rightly so, that is still the best film adaptation of a comic book out there.
You know what? In 2003, I would almost wait. When did Blade come out? Because I think Blade was. Oh, well, there's Howard the Duck. Come on, and Dick Tracy wasn't a comic book; it was a comic strip people. So, I guess he turned to a comic book later on, but Blade was a better adaptation from the source material. Well, no, you know what? Dick Tracy was on point for. I mean,
I think it was perfect as far as like comic book to like imagery to make it live action. I believe it.
You know, I believe that if you took this movie and just turned it into a comic book, word for word, page for page, panel for panel, don't change any of the wording, you could have this comic book. Maybe a 4 series of comic books. It would read perfectly with the same color palette and everything. You know what? Yeah. They might be right.
It's probably I think they used. I'm pretty sure they pretty much used all primary colors.
Yeah, I mean, they had some version of the but they didn't have no beiges or teals. They had like 2 different greens, but yeah, it was all. Of course, he was the only one. Dick Tracy was with the yellow hat and the yellow coat, but he had a black suit underneath. Everyone else was the same color underneath what they're wearing in the coat. So
yeah. So for my review or rating of this movie, I will say that for probably my third or fourth time ever watching this movie, I never remembered the end. It was always a fresh watch. Like I've never remembered it from the last time I've watched it. And I've always been able to kind of watch it under fresh eyes.
I
So
don't
I
know
don't
if it's a good thing or not.
either. Because I can remember Batman 89 like right now. We could review that movie, no problem.
Right.
Uh, so honestly, outside of Madonna's poor acting, and the fact that whenever I heard Danny Elfman's composition, I couldn't not think of Tim Burton's movie. I will give this 3 trees.
Okay, that is fair. I'm almost in the same area as you. Almost. The more we talked about it, because me watching it and then us talking about it does change my mind about movies. I'm not sure if you know this or not. I have an idea coming in what I'm going to rate it as we discuss it. This conversation with you makes me think more, so I rate it higher or lower.
I agree. I'm the same way.
So, as a comic book movie, I have to compare it to other comic book movies. As a detective movie, other detective movies, as movies with Madonna, other Madonna movies. I think, like this last reviewer was, it's a great comic book movie because that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be watching a comic book come to life, and they did a great job of that. Acting was not great, but I did get to
It's a
see
really good
boobies.
detective movie.
I got to see boobies. And boobies is always worth half a stump. I've talked about this before. So it always
Just
gives me
really
a
gets you. Gives me a
boobies give me a stump.
You always get a stump when you get boobies in them.
At least I do. And I think the color palettes that they used was great. I thought the acting for everyone was, except for 2 of them, maybe 3 of them, was outstanding. Comparing it to, and I have to compare it to 89 Batman because, I have to. I'm going to give it, because I'm giving it an extra half a stump, I'm going to give it 2 trees.
That seems fair. For a movie that was done back in 1990, that's got to be the only fair review. I mean, pretty good. Thank you all for watching this wonderful review of the 1990 film Dick Tracy, starring some guy named
Warren Beatty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you enjoyed this review, please give us a review by dropping a comment below. Subscribe to our channel and also share amongst your friends. I've been Nate. That's been Jason. And we will see you next Monday for the next review. What?